I don't know what deep-seated madness has brought me to this place. Despite repeated warnings from the locals, I find myself at the gates of the place that has haunted my nights for many months. The tomb of the ancients stands before me in all its imposing stature, its shadow casting an inexplicable and powerful melancholy over me. I arrived on Apophis 3 standard days ago, 3 days without sleep. 3 days marked by a painful impatience, my body unable to follow the obscure designs of my mind, spinning, jiggling, scratching, as if thousands of fire ants were gnawing away at it from within. I miss cryostatic sleep. I think back wistfully to the moribund smell in the hold of the peddler's old cabin, tossed between a multitude of trinkets and creatures from the 4 corners of the galaxy. I left my family, my friends, my job, squandered my last savings on this journey to the farthest reaches of known space, all to finally explore the frontier planet that had disturbed my sleep for so long. I think I'm going mad. It doesn't matter now. I've reached my destination. It would be all the more lunatic of me to turn back now that I've finally reached my goal. The tomb is the largest, best preserved, most recent and least known building on the surface of the third Tharsis star, M3P. From the moment the first seeding ships arrived, the colonists felt the instinctive need to build their community as far away from the megastructure as possible. Despite scientific interest in the planet and the inexplicable disappearance of the ancients several 100,000 years ago, no one has dared to imagine exploring the edifice. For over 200 years, it has remained in its place, in the middle of the Errrrrrrrr desert, its sleep religiously respected. With the inevitable exception of a handful of unaware, death-seeking damned of my ilk, its architecture evokes nothing familiar. If the other ruins of this world suggest the bygone golden age of an interstellar civilization, similar in every way to our own, the tomb calls only for an almost apocalyptic resignation in the face of the end. A chill runs down my spine. Tombs are always a way of honoring the souls of the dead, yet this one exudes nothing but an aura of sacrificial soil gorged with the blood of millions, if not billions, of souls leaving their carnal envelope in torment and fear. I can't shake the horrible feeling that I'll be joining their ranks soon enough. I don't care anymore. I'm already a dead man in the eyes of the galaxy. Even if it were able to offer me the peace I so desire, I would welcome such an end with open arms. I slowly make my way towards the gaping entrance, a black rectangle measuring 50 by 30 meters. It's adorned with engravings of humanoid individuals entwined with one another, as if fused into a single sprawling creature, overlooked by an immense spherical mass that I identify as the sun of this planetary system. The darkness remains absolute until I cross the threshold. A strange vision suddenly reveals itself to me. An immense staircase descending to the bowels of the earth as far as the eye can see. As I go along, the walls get narrower and narrower. After a few minutes, the ceiling is only a meter or 2 from my head. I still can't make out the end. I'm convinced that if I were to travel on the surface, it would vanish into the horizon. This cyclopean thing is not a tomb. It's only a tombstone adorning the real coffin, buried deep where things should remain unknown to us. I've been walking for several hours now. Tiredness is taking its toll, and I've nearly tumbled into the deepest circle of the underworld on several occasions. I stopped my progress to stop my supplies 4 times. I don't know how much time has passed. I can't feel my legs, and the familiar sleep-deprived feeling has never been so intense. I'll be out of the meager supplies left in my rucksack soon enough, and there's no light to be seen yet. I'm afraid I'll soon find the desiccated remains of another explorer. Shock and disgust wash over me as I pass the 7th mummified corpse I've seen. The lack of fatigue worries me. I've only got half a flask of water left. My only chance of survival now lies at the end of the steps. I can't help thinking that the poor bastards I passed have come from even lower down and tried to turn back. I feel light, free from the constraints of time and my own body. Perhaps I'm already dead, my spirit continuing its inexorable pilgrimage in astral projection. The walls begin to whisper softly to me in a language I don't understand. I regularly come across ghostly hooded figures, emerging from one facade and disappearing into another. I don't know whether I'm hallucinating from the continuous lack of sleep, or whether I'm finally reaching my goal. After a lifetime in the dark, I finally set foot on the last step. A piercing light dazzles me. My eyes take a little extra time to acclimatize. In front of me, an immense dome of immaculate white, a perfect sphere at its center, a monolith of total smoothness and blackness. As I approach it, I feel something trickle down my cheek. I realize I'm crying profusely. I fall to my knees at my feet, sadness wringing my heart, tears flowing freely. I'm suffocating, my vision is blurred again, and I think I'm dying under the crushing weight of the distress creeping up on me like a parasite. Without realizing it, I'm embracing the sphere, unable to detach myself. It's warm, organic, and evokes an almost maternal soothing. As the thing inexorably pulls me into it, everything around me fades away. I'm back at the threshold of the tomb of the ancients. The sun is black and the sky scarlet. The heavens let out a subsonic moan, a harbinger of impending slaughter. I look around me. Where the desert of Errrrrrrrr should be, I see fields of suffering as far as the eye can see. Stretches of vegetation, creatures, machines, and people in grotesque, erroneous positions, overwhelmed by a kind of thick, black, petroleum-like liquid, rapidly turning them into aberrations. The sun weeps the substance, and neural tissues of perversion extend to the falls of the horizon. In front of the tomb entrance stands a procession of humanoid figures hooded in long black robes. I try to call out to them, but they don't notice me. My instinct is to join their silent pilgrimage to the abyss a second time. I join the queue and cross the mighty containment field at the building's gates. Some aberrations try to catch up with us, but are pulverized by the imposing shield of light with a horrible scream outside the human vocal spectrum. For the second time now, I begin the interminable descent of the steps, the presence of my silent comrades invoking a strange courage, so that the journey seems to last only a tiny fraction of what it was then. At the center of the dome, they enter the sphere with the same resigned silence and disappear into another world. I stand back and watch as thousands, perhaps millions of souls inexorably pass through the portal. I stand there, dumbfounded, watching every last one of them disappear, saying nothing, doing nothing, thinking nothing of the spectacle unfolding before me. Finally, I find myself once again alone with the monolith. A muffled murmur from the surface wakes me from my torpor. The monolith begins to vibrate intensely, its surface shaking frantically, constantly changing shape, particles levitating throughout the room. I can feel the rumble reverberating through my bones, my teeth, my skull, its unspeakable pressure ready to annihilate my eardrums at any moment. The sphere is now a triangle of absolute red light, projecting rays of energy against the dome's facades, activating circuit paths all around me, as the room moves like a sleeping giant, taking on geometrically indescribable shapes. The staircase is now above my head, and drops of the blackish substance begin to fall. The drops become torrents. An unimaginable mass of this bubbling terror crashes down on me and the triangle. It insinuates itself into me, submerging my throat and lungs, finding its way into every pore of my being, weaving its way between the strands of my DNA. I see the death of everything. I see bodies decaying, plants withering, stars fading, planets cooling, black holes swallowing everything in their path. I see the end of great civilizations and thunders of antimatter and atomic fusions. I see the death of everything I've ever loved, everything I love, and everything I could ever have loved. I see my own death. I want to scream, but I have no mouth, no body, no mind. Nothing but an infinite need to scream with all my being to express my suffering. But I have no being, and yet I still am. Suffering still is. Everything is gone. Yet I am able to contemplate that everything is gone. Everything is gone, including me. Yet I'm still agonizing over its disappearance. Then I see it again, the triangle of light. In this infinite ocean of death, I see nothing but him. I have no ears, there's no material to carry the sound, and yet I can hear the rumble addressing me.
We've been waiting for you for so long. Countless suns have been extinguished since our quest began. We are the ones your people call ancients. 100 million of your short years ago, we were masters of this reality. Our hegemony far surpassed the limits of your imagination. Yet our arrogance was similar in every way to yours. By unearthing the forbidden fruit of immortality, we awakened corruption. What we call it is the universe's security algorithm. It is the telomere at the end of the genes of what is, the process of apoptosis that ends existence, a guarantee of the inviolability of universal laws.
In our ignorance, we invoked the fury of the sleeping abyss. Corruption deemed our sin so intolerable that the entirety of existence had to cease, accelerating entropy to the point of no return. Among our ranks were a handful of unique individuals, cold sources, empathic beings between matter and energy, catalysts of the voice that minds. In a final sacrifice, the sources gave up their bodies, integrating their spirits into our final creation.
Guided by the sources now unified in ultimate intelligence, we decided to digitize our minds and go into exile to a remote fold of space-time, taking corruption with us. Our punishment lies in the granting of our dearest wish. We were condemned to remain buried in the bowels of our world, unable to die until the source received our final signal. You've passed the test. You are a source. As the primordial pillar of this universe, corruption will never be destroyed, nor will we. The day we made our mistake, something crept into the fabric of existence. Every living thing carries within it a fear of corruption, patiently waiting for an epistemological shock sufficient to enable them to deal with it. Your people are getting dangerously close to that point. You now bear our mark. Corruption will now be in every corner of your life. You will live in a constant battle against it. You won't be able to run away. No one can. Your continued existence depends on the outcome of your battle. The weight of our sins now rests on your back, for such is the fate of a source.